Hi, and welcome to CreateStudio 3. In this video, we're going to give an overview of the editor itself, talk about some of its main features, and give you some really helpful quick tips on how to get started. All right, so real quickly, one thing I do want to point out is that along with our support and our tutorial section here inside of the homepage, we do have a YouTube channel as well as a Facebook group that has an abundance of resources from tutorials to quick links from just a community helping themselves out inside of the Facebook group itself. So be sure to check those out as well. All right, so when you open up your CreateStudio 3, the first thing you're gonna notice is you have the options to create a new project. You can use the Lightning Builder. You can open a pre-existing project, or you can use templates, right? And you do have the same options here on the left-hand side. It's just broken out a little differently. All right, so if you wanna start a new project from scratch, right? You wanna create this custom yourself, you would click on New Project, right? So I'll select that, opens up my new session, and then I can go over here to the top right, go to Resolution, and I can choose what resolution I want my project to be. Right, so whether I want it to be standard, 1920 by 1080, do I want it to be vertical, square, portrait? So depending on what format you're looking to create, that's where you can set your resolution, right? All right, so one other thing I want to point out real fast is that up here we have some new layouts, right? So if I click on this button here, you'll see that right now I'm in the left and right panels. So left and right means that I've got my interface on the left here, and I've got my settings and resolutions stuff that I can have on the right side. Now, if I click here and go up to left bar, it moves everything to the left side here, and then everything is now on the left side of the screen, right? So all my settings are right here for my settings and resolution, along with all of my other categories that I can choose from within CreateStudio 3, right? All right, so now if I go back up one more time to our interface layout, I can click on minimal, and minimal will then move everything to the top, and then I still have access to my settings and all of my features there at the top, all right? All right, so from there, you can go ahead and you have access to all of the content from all the menus on the left-hand side here. You can drag them into your canvas and then work on the projects you have, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and exit back out here to our menu so you can see the next way to build a project, which is the Lightning Builder. All right, so I'll select the Lightning Builder. And the cool thing about the Lightning Builder is it allows you to quickly build projects and assets to use for quick purpose, to get things out really fast, and you don't have to sit there and custom make stuff. You can do this really easily, right? And again, you have options for square, standard 16 by 9, or vertical 9 by 16. So let's just go ahead and choose standard for now. And so now I'm at the choose the style of your video page, right? So I can scroll through here, and depending on what my project needs are, I can choose the style of video that is set for me, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and choose the Meet Jack scenes here, right? So up at the top is where you will see all the scenes that you add. You'll see them appear there at the top. And here in the subcategories section, the all shows you all the scenes that are available to you to choose from. But the cool thing is if you start with the opener, it's like a story, right? Your opener, you start with your content, your problem, your solution, and your benefits, right? So it works out for you really fast, right? So let's go ahead and click on opener. And let's just say I'm gonna start with the Meet Jack scene here. And then what I can do is you can see is it added it up at the top. Now I can go to content and say, okay, so what kind of scene do I want to use to add my content, right? It's like maybe I want to add this tablet scene, right? So I can swipe across and show some cool imagery that's coming on screen here. So I can hit add scene. And then now I can go to problem, and you can see I can add this scene here, which lets you know, unfortunately, he had, and then I can list out the different types of problems that I've got going on. And then I can come up with a solution that my company wants to present, right? So now I can say, let's use this guy. So you can see they're adding them up at the top. So I'm already building out my story really fast. Now I can go to benefits, and I can say, all right, so here's where all of my benefits are gonna go that I wanna showcase for my business, so I can add scene. And now I'm good to go, right? I've quickly laid out a fast scene here, already pre-built, and I can go in there and just customize it really quick, and I'll show you to do that here in a second. You can see these little transition icons in between each of the scenes. If I click on it, you can see that it opens up the transition page. Now I can hover over each one of these, and it will show you what that transition looks like. So maybe I want each scene to drop down as it goes. So I can select that, and then it added that transition for that scene in between there, right? Now, if I want to add the same transition to all of them, all I have to do is click back on any one of these guys. And with that drop down selected there, click on apply to all scenes. And so now it applies that transition to all of my scenes at one time. All right, so now I can go here and click on go to editor, and it opens up a choose a music style section for me. So I can go through any of these awesome themes here, and then you can have CreateStudio 3 choose this for you, right? Or you can skip it if you got your own music and add your own music, right? But let's go ahead and choose funk, and then it's gonna build the project for us. And here we go, it has built out all the scenes that we chose inside of CreateStudio 3. So now if I scrub through this, you can see here are all the scenes that we added, right? So what I can do if I want to adjust these is if I can select on this scene here, and then if I scroll through, you can see here is where it says Meet Jack. And on the right under settings is where I can make some adjustments, right? So I can say instead of Meet Jack, maybe I want it to say Will, right? And then I can come over here to this next one. And here's where I can make adjustments for the pictures that are going across the tablet here. I could change the text, right? I can change different colors of the text box, right? So you can get in there and really customize this and make it fit your project needs, right? Same thing with these other ones. You can click on them and you can add your problems, right? That whatever the solution is that you're trying to solve, right? And then same thing over here, go in here on the right-hand side under settings, you can adjust all of these settings. All right, now you can go in here and you can double click on these groups here in these scenes, and you can go in there and get a little more customization. If you want to go in there and really tweak some of these things even more, you can go in there and customize them to fit exactly what you're trying to do, right? So I'll go back to the main timeline here. So again, really powerful features inside the Lightning Builder that are available to you in CreateStudio 3. All right, so the next way you can start a project is by using templates. So Lightning Builder allows you to build a scene as you go, right? So maybe you're trying to build a scene for a product and you want to build it out piece by piece. That's a great way to get started, right? Now templates, on the other hand, if I click on templates here, it opens up all of our pre-built templates that all you have to do is just plug and play media to help get you started and get you going, right? So what I can do is right here, as we click on all, it shows all of the awesome templates that we have to offer, right? So you can scroll through here, navigate down and find templates that fit your needs, right? Of course, we also have character explainers, promotional spots, right? So it's very theme based, right? So you go business, local business, you can got stuff for YouTube on here, right? Logo stings, if you have something you're trying to spruce up your logos, you can do that. We've got a lot of cool stuff, templates for scroll stoppers, really interactive stuff. And then we have other types of templates that fall into this category as well, right? So really awesome stuff that helps you start your templates and get started from scratch. And if you go to the top here, you can search templates. You also can choose whether you want to see standard videos, do you want to see vertical, do you want to see square? So it kind of sorts them out. So depending on what project you're trying to work on, you can then kind of narrow them down into that search, right? And then of course you could search popular, new, by name, that kind of thing, right? So another way to just kind of quickly search up some of the templates that you might be looking for. All right, so let's go ahead and select one of these templates and let's drag it into our session here so you can see how it works and what that looks like. All right, so if I select this, it opens up a dialog box that allows me to preview what that looks like. I could choose landscape. This one offers a square option as well. I'll choose landscape and then I'll hit start editing. All right, it quickly downloads that if it hasn't already been downloaded to your system. And then it'll open up CreateStudio and then insert the session project files together. All right, so now that we have our scene in here, what we can do is we can then scrub through it and you can see this is everything that we just previewed a second ago. And then now if I select these scenes, you can then go in and customize them to the way you want them, change the text, change the images, change the videos. And again, same thing with scene 2, do the same thing. So you have the flexibility to quickly adjust these templates to make them your own to fit whatever it is that you would like them to be, right? So super cool and super powerful things that you can do inside of CreateStudio 3. All right, so next up, let's talk about the interface itself once we're inside of CreateStudio. All right, so if we navigate to the top left corner of our screen here, there is a folder called Media. So if I select on Media, you've got 3 options here in the top. You've got Project, which we're in right now, you've got Global, and then you've got Stock. So Project is, since I brought this template into CreateStudio, here is all of the project files associated with these scenes, right? So if I open these up, you'll see here's the imagery involved, the video clips, the different assets that make up these scenes, right? Now, if you want to go in and start replacing these assets with something that you have, you can import them in here at the bottom. So you want to import them from your hard drive. You can bring those into CreateStudio into this project folder. You can create new folders. So if I add a new folder, come in here, I could rename it, import straight to here. I could delete this folder if I want. So everything you can do is you can build everything inside your project, save it into your project. Now the global is something that you want if you have assets that you use for multiple projects and you have this same logo that you use all the time in multiple projects, maybe the same background that you use all the time. You want access to it every time you open up a session, right? So for example, let's say I come in here and go to our Stomp Scene 8 here. Maybe this is something I want to use for the next 6 projects I'm working on. I could right click this, copy to global. So now if I go to global, you'll see there it is. So anytime I open up a session, create a new project, if I come to the global folder, all of these images or video clips will be saved here for me to access and use for my projects. So super cool. All right, so if I go over to the stock, here's where you can search up anything inside of the built-in stock libraries inside of CreateStudio 3. So if you want to search up video clips or images or GIFs or stickers or SVGs, it's all accessible right here inside of CreateStudio 3.0. And then anything that you save into your, if you import in a picture, for example, it goes into your project folder here, and then I could take that, drag it into my project, and then use it how I need to, right? All right, so let's go ahead and select our studio section here. And inside the studio section is where you'll find all of the assets you need to build really cool projects within CreateStudio 3. All right, whether that be finding scroll stoppers, social media assets, looking for backgrounds, right? Which is really cool, right? There's so many backgrounds, different things that you can use to enhance your projects, or looking for characters, right? So say you want one of these assets, all you have to do is click on the little download icon. And then once it's downloaded, then you can then drag them into your timeline and start creating some really cool content. So now underneath Studio is your scenes, right? So these are pre-built scenes that you can then add to your already existing timeline if you want. So say for example, if I come in here on my timeline and I want to add a scene after scene 6, right? It's like, you know what? I need, instead of it ending on this have fun sequence here, I want to come in here to my scenes and I want to search up something else. And I want to add maybe a different look, a different feel. I could drag it. Maybe I want this YouTube closer, right? So I could take this YouTube scene and then it gives me a whole bunch of different profiles that I could hover over and play. If you haven't already downloaded something, you can then click on the download icon, select it, and then drag it onto your timeline here. And then now I have this scene. So it'll go from here to my closeout YouTube channel scene, right? So super cool way to just add additional scenes or even start from scratch there if you just want to start from scenes, right? So that is what the scene section does in CreateStudio 3. All right, so now if I navigate to the music section, you have access to download our music tracks, right? So under music, you can choose the different categories that you want, right? If you want indie, you want happy, you want funk, then you can scroll through, preview these tracks, and then download them and then drag them into your timeline, right? We also have effects that work the same way. So if you're looking for sound effects that you want to enhance your projects, it's another way to search up your effects, download them as well, and then drag them into your projects. Now, the newest really cool feature inside of CreateStudio 3 is our text-to-speech feature, and that is the AI text-to-speech, right? So this is a great way to really enhance your projects. Maybe you got a script that you want, you can use that AI dialogue, scroll through and sample some of the awesome AI dialogue tracks that we have, and then you can then generate that speech and drag it into your session, right? Now, these are the languages we do support at the current moment. So once you type in your language, it will automatically recognize what language that is, as long as it is from this list. And there will be future languages added as we work along. All right, so one thing I do want to point out is that our text-to-speech AI feature is available to all access users. All access users get 3,000 credits a month. Your credits do not accrue if you do not use them every month. So every first of the month, you'll get a new fresh 3,000 credits. You can always buy more. And then again, if you're not an all access user, you can get access to the text-to-speech AI feature by just buying some more credits using the link here in CreateStudio 3. Now we do have Google text-to-speech as well, which is unlimited to every user. And you have a list of different language options as well here. And you have a list of 10 female voices and 10 male voices. But again, the Google version is unlimited, so you have access to that as well. All right, so if I go over to the record section here, this is where you can record your own dialogue, right? So maybe you want to record your own voice or record somebody else because you want them to be the voice of your project. You can choose the interface that you have, right? So whether you have your own external audio interface or you have your own built-in computer microphone, it works just as well. You can choose whether you want to record in stereo or mono, and then hit start recording, and it will record your voice, which you can then drag into your timeline and make a part of your projects, right? So a lot of cool and super powerful features inside the music section of CreateStudio 3. All right, so now let's go to effects and components. And effects, there's two sides, right? So under effects, there's different things, right? So you have glitch, green screen, filters, jitter, there's color removal, there's wave, there's twirls. There's a lot of different really cool effects that you can then drag into your session and tap into and really enhance the project that you're working on. The component section is a little more different, right? So you can add these to your scenes, right? So maybe you want to add some camera movement to your scene. There's a subscribe button, there's the carousel, there's the typewriter effect, right? There's a lot of different cool components that you can add to your project, and this is where you will find them, all right? Now, if I come down to transitions, if you hover over each one of these, it will play a transition, right? So again, if you want to use one of these and you want to scroll through one, maybe you like that one, or maybe you like this guy, what you can do is you can download it and then select it. Now, if you drag it across on your timeline, you'll see that it highlights everything in your timeline, right? Now, if you hover it over certain scenes here, it changes the color of those scenes, right? So let's drop it onto this scene right here. So now what it does is if you go over to your effects side, you'll see that it added the reveal, conceal, transition for you, right? And here it's previewing what we just added, right? So if I look on my scene here on the timeline, you'll see that it added the transition effect right here in the middle, and I'll zoom in there so y'all can see that. So what that does is it added it right here. And if I want to adjust the parameters of that, I can go to the effects side, and right now it's turned on, right? So if it wasn't on, you didn't see it, just check on the box there and it's blue. Now it's on. So you have two options here. You could reveal and conceal, right? So right now it's starting at the beginning for the reveal. If I take that away, nothing's gonna be there. If I do it on the conceal, it'll add the transition to the end of it, right? So let's go ahead and put it on the beginning. So on the reveal. So now if I come over here, you'll see that if I scrub through, I've got this really cool transition that scrubs through, right? So really cool features, and all the transitions are in here. And again, if you wanna hover over them, you can then see what they look like and then drag them into your scenes and then work with them and enhance your projects that way, right? So super cool. All right, so now let's go ahead and go to our 3D creator section. And here's where we have access to our customizable characters. All right, so right now we have Lenka and Tom. We will be adding more customizable characters soon. So look out for that for future updates. Let's go ahead and drag in Tom so you can kind of see what this looks like. So if I drag Tom in, you'll see that the cool thing about it is, aside from animating him in the standard way by adjusting his animations and his actions, right, which is down right here, what we can do is we can go to customize, and we can change and change the complete look of Tom, right? So right now I can change his top, give him some sleeves. I could change his pants, let's give him some beach shorts. Maybe we want to give him some tennis shoes, and we're going to give him a nice little hat, maybe a little visor hat. Maybe he's going to go to the beach, right? So there's a lot of different things that you can do. You can change the hair, you can add glasses. There's just so many things you can do to really enhance your projects to meet the needs that you may have. Accessories, the colors, right? So you can change skin tones, hair, eyes, change the color of the shirt, the bottoms, the shoes, the hats, the glasses. So depending on what it is that you're adding to them, you can change the colors of that, right? All right, so now I want to focus on some of the features inside the main editor here that will be more practical for you to use as you're working inside of CreateStudio 3. All right, so if I look inside here, at the top of my interface here, I've got a plus icon, right? Now, if I click on that, you'll see this is how I can easily add text. I can use the pen tool. I can add rectangles and shapes and arcs. And now if I move over to the top part of our interface here, right now I'm on the selection tool, right? So once I have this selected, this allows me to select anything in my timelines here, in my scene, right? So that's a really awesome feature that we can have, right? So that is what the selection tool does. The hand tool allows you to move around in your canvas. You can click and drag, and it allows you to maybe just want to look in this corner here, and you can punch in a little bit that way. You can also, if you're on the selector tool and you don't want to have to click that, you could hold the space bar down, and then you can click and drag around your canvas as you need to kind of look around different parts of your scene. And then you can, the minute you let go of space bar, it goes back to your selection tool, right? So just a kind of a quick shortcut there. We do have our, you can zoom in on the canvas with the magnifying glass. So you can do some auto settings here, right? You can go 25%, 50%, and you go to 100 and 200, or you can just drag the slider and zoom in as you need to. You can fit to screen, or you can center it up. So just depending on what you're looking to do, here's where you have those options. Now here's where you have your save icon, right? So if you want to save your project, save it here. And then if you're ready to publish, you can publish your stuff. So right, so before you can publish and export your video, you need to make sure that you have saved it. Then you can hit publish, and then you have the options there to save this video. Do you want to save just an image out of this? Is it just audio only? You have different formats to save all of these things, right? For audio and video, quality levels, size, where you want to start and end with, if you want to apply audio normalization, and then choose your output file, and then it exports out for you, right? So that's all where that's located. And then here under the CreateStudio logo on the right-hand side, you can start a new project. You can save as, if you need some help with some tutorials, you can click this button here. You've got support access, and then you can exit back out of your session, and it'll take you back to the main menu for CreateStudio 3. All right, and then if I get into the settings here under this section here, here's where the properties for whatever scene you select is, whether it could be a character or it could be a scene. So let's say I select on Stomp Scene 6 here. Here are the settings for that, right? So I could change out at a high level all the text for that file, change out video clips. I can go to motion. I could add some animated effects to the intros or the outros of this scene. I could go to properties and I could scale up. I could change the opacity, the position, anchors, just different things within the properties that you can do. And then of course, if you add effects, like we added that transition, this is where they'll be stored and you can adjust those and turn them on and off from here. All right, so now let's work our way to the top of the timeline here and for the properties that you have to utilize right there. So if I click on this left button here, this will take us to the beginning of the session. If I select the right-hand side there, it takes me to the end. Obviously the play button does the play, and then this is kind of moves you frame by frame, right? So if I tap forward, you can see I'm inching frame by frame, or I can go back and go back frame by frame. All right, so right here is where it shows the amount of time that you have for your session. So right now you're looking at 20 seconds. It'll tell you just how many minutes it is or how many seconds that your project is total, right? Right here is where you can add some animations, some keyframes. So if I select this scene here, and let's zoom in a little bit so you can see, and I select add animation, here's where I can add some keyframe properties, right? So I can change or I can add some position and scale. You can do rotation, border, shadows, distortion, just depending on what it is that you're working on. You can add keyframes to that animation, right? So then you can also adjust the easing. So you can change the easing for the in and outs together, right? You can go from linear to smooth, slow-mo, elastic, or you can change individually, right? You can set the easing for the in and then set a different easing for the out, right? So once you got those in there, you'll see that it added our two keyframes, our in point keyframe and our out. So depending on what properties you selected, you could select that first keyframe, go over here to settings, and then go to properties here, and I could adjust the position properties, right? Set a start point, and then I could go to the second keyframe and then set an out point for the position, right? So I can animate different objects and items inside of CreateStudio 3, which is really cool. All right, so now let's work our way down, and of course you can duplicate. So let's say I wanted to duplicate this scene 6 here. I could select it and then hit duplicate, and then you can see that it made a nice duplicate for me. So that has a really cool feature. And then if I go down, I can go to my cut section here, right? So let's say I go into this scene and I want to cut these little particles, right? So I could say, you know what? I want to cut this right about here. And then if I select cut, it makes a cut there. And then I can either delete that or I can use that as a sync point for something else, right? So it's just a cool feature to have. That's your cut tool. Let's go back to the main timeline here. And then now what I got is I have my scenes here. So if I click on scenes, here's where you can get scenes. So if I click get scenes again, you can then add more templated scenes out that maybe you want to add to your already existing project. Maybe you're like, you know what, this needs a certain outro, a certain intro, and you don't want to have to build it from scratch. You can go here, go back to categories, and maybe find a specific type of intro, outro that you're looking for, right? So super cool features and a great way to just quickly add to your scenes, right? All right, and if I keep working my way down, I click this, here are my grids, right? So you can do action safe lines and everything available with grids. You can go here and then you have your guidelines that you can add, as well as our shortcuts that are available right here. So if you want to get really efficient with keyboard shortcuts, here's a great way to start learning those and get in there really efficiently. And you've got your redo and undo tools right here. And so that is a great way to get familiarized with the timeline inside of CreateStudio 3. All right, if I work my way down on the timeline though, we have access to the slider bar, which scrolls me through across the timeline, right? And then this guy will then zoom in for me as well. Another quick tip is if you hover over your time here and it turns into a double-sided arrow, you can left click and drag left or right, and it will then zoom in and out for you. So a quick, fast, and efficient way. You can also adjust your timeline. So I could fit the timeline for me there. I could also make the timeline full width. So if I click that, you can see it basically hides the elements over here and it allows you to have a full wider view of your timeline, which is actually really cool and efficient. And then you can always adjust your track size, right? So you can, right now it's large, you can go medium, you can go small if you want to. It's just depending on how large your project is, you can then change the degree of your track size depending on what's your preference, right? All right, so that was an overview of CreateStudio 3. Hopefully you got some really cool quick tips out of this. Remember, the best way to go about this is to just dig in there and try it out, right? Experiment. Maybe you may not get it right away, but the more you do it, the better you'll learn. Can't wait to see what y'all create, and I'll catch you on the next video.